This week in our community connection, I'm Mrs. Sweetman, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about being filled with the Holy Spirit. And when you're filled with the Holy Spirit, how that enables you to share with others all about Jesus. And we're going to think about, or at least I'm going to think about, and maybe you can think about it too, someone who has told you about Jesus, who's been important in your life, and someone who maybe encouraged you that you hadn't thought about before. And I'll just share a real quick story with you from my life about someone who helped me to understand Jesus even better. There are so many people that I can think about who have influenced me and told me more about Jesus. Lots of different people. But one that I can remember was way back when I was in 3rd grade. So we would go to church on Wednesday afternoons, a group of my classmates who also went to my church, on Wednesday afternoons for catechism. We'd walk from school and we'd cross with a crossing guard, a road that we never usually crossed, because we were going to go to church and we were going to learn more about God through reading and studying the catechism. And my catechism teacher that year was Mrs. Howarda, and I will never forget her. She was a very, very gentle lady. She cared about all of us who were in her class, and she wanted us to know more about Jesus. And she was always willing to share things from her own life that told us about Jesus, how she experienced him. And she wanted to hear us tell her about Jesus in our lives, how we could feel him and see him work in our lives. And I remember that very, very important time that we got to spend with her, that for some of my classmates wasn't so important, but for me it really was, because she was so gentle and kind, and she really cared about us. And another way that she showed that, and so that's another way that she showed Jesus to me, was that on Sundays she would always find us, her students. She would always come and talk to me and find out how I was doing. And even more importantly, and I guess what sticks with me, is that once I grew up and I went away to college and I got married, Mrs. Howarda would always ask my mom and dad, who still went to church with her, how I was doing and what I was doing for Jesus. She was always so caring, even after I was no longer her student and many, many years later. And I think that's an important example of how Jesus can be in our hearts and in our lives through the Holy Spirit. When we're filled with the Holy Spirit, he helps us to help others to see him too. That is so important and so awesome. And that's my story. I thought I would share that with you, and maybe you can think about someone like that in your life today.